Hey folks, the name's Antar1011 and I'm here to bring you the rarest of the rare. Not only is this a PBR battle, but this is a PBR Little Cup battle. My opponent is victini493, who I met through QuizZat. Not the place I was expecting to find a PBR Little Cup battle, but I'm glad that I did. Anyway, he leads off with a Scarfed Starly, which is not going to do too much against my Onix, except for it is going to break my Sash. But it's alright, doesn't matter, I'm going to be able to set up Stealth Rocks as my opponent switches out Turtwig. So out come the rocks, and that's all good. I guess my opponent was probably predicting me to go for the Rock-type move, that, or, you know, really couldn't do much to me. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go for the taunt here, thinking that Turtwig is either going to set up rocks, or is going to Leech Seed. So here comes the taunt, and I just want to shut all of that down. And Turtwig falls for the taunt, but it was actually going for Swords Dance, which I found really interesting. Anyway, I go for the Stone Edge here, which does just about half, which is actually really neat. I was not expecting it to do that much. I was just leaving in my Onix for Death Fodder. He was obviously expecting me to switch. Used Iron Tail, was not enough to KO me, although it does lower my defense. I survive with 3 HP, and my opponent decides he's going to switch out his Turtwig rather than, you know, die to another Stone Edge. Switches out his Riolu, who's going to resist the Stone Edge, so that's a pretty good move. I break his presumed Sash, and go for the Stone Edge, but it's not going to do too much because Riolu resists it. Actually, it does quite a lot, considering, so very interesting. But so anyway, I'm going to go for the Earthquake. I might outspeed, but he's got the Bullet Punch, so it doesn't really matter, and my Onix is taken down. That's okay, it did a lot more in this battle than it kind of ever has before. Usually I just leave it in as kind of a suicide lead. But so anyway, now you can see my team, and I decide who I want to send out to Revenge Kill. I can send out my... I have a lot of options here, and I decide I'm going to go ahead and send out my Mankey, named Marcel. And I'm going to go ahead and this is not actually a Scarfed Mankey, although it runs a Scarf set. What I mean by that is it's designed to trick your opponent into thinking it's a Scarfed Mankey. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the Ice Punch, and my opponent, I figure, was fooled into thinking it was a Scarf set and goes for the Bullet Punch. Instead it actually runs Focus Sash, so that ruins my day just as much as if I'd been a Scarfer. And I go for the Ice Punch. It is going to be enough to KO. Riolu, guess it doesn't have the best defenses, and so it's easy to kill. So I take it out, and so now I'm wondering whether my opponent is going to fall for the trick, but apparently not so much because he sends in his Starly, which is Scarfed. But if my Marcel isn't Scarfed, he's going to outspeed, and indeed I'm not Scarfed, so I've got to switch out. I'm going to predict the Brave Bird here and go for my my Chinchou, which is going to resist the Brave Bird, and I'm just wondering how well it's going to take it. This is a specially defensive Chinchou set, which I never expected to be that effective, but much to my chagrin, it has actually proven to be quite an effective sweeper, even though all it was supposed to be was a special sponge, but it can take physical hits too. Anyway, I'm predicting the switch here, and was not predicting the switch into Turtwig. I was predicting the switch into someone who would do some considerable damage to me, and so I go ahead and go for the T-Wave, figuring whoever he sends out, it'll be good to have it paralyzed. Turtwig, not so much. I'm going to go ahead and Ice Beam here for the KO. That's kind of weird. I guess he was predicting me to use a Thunderbolt, but this is a Bolt Beam set. And so down goes that Turtwig, and I've taken out that Pokemon with no problem at all. Next out he sends Munchlax, which is his only real hard counter for my Chinchou on his team. Yeah, even though I didn't show it, you know, this is PBR, so I have seen what his team is. Now, this is kind of a strange move. I go for the Thunder Wave here, because I thought he was going to run a Body Slam set. In which case I don't want my Pokemon to be paralyzed, especially my fast sweepers, in the way that they'll be slower than his Munchlax. So he's going to go ahead and use Return, so he runs Return instead of the Body Slam. That's really too bad, but hey, maybe I'll get the Parahacks. So my Chinchou, even though it's swept in the past, did not really do too much in this battle. And so, oh well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. I've got lots of other Pokemon left on my team. I go ahead and send out Marcel, my Mankey, which I'd been leaving alive just for this purpose. Close combat to the face. I was kind of wondering whether he'd switch, but he didn't really have anyone on his team to take a close combat. so it's not really surprising that he leaves it in to die. And so I take out his Munchlax, and who's probably the biggest threat on his team, and he goes and sends out Starly again. So now I think about this and realize I really, now that Chinchou's dead, I really have no one to take a Brave Bird. So I look at my team and realize, no, I don't want to sacrifice anyone else. Marcel's done his job. Munchlax is taken out, so I'm going to go ahead and stay in and get Brave Bird, and that's going to be it for my Mankey. So, too bad. I was actually really hoping that the recoil would finish him off, but instead he survives with what must be 1 or 2 HP, and I decide how I'm going to revenge kill it. My Cyndaquil is going to outrun because it's also scarfed. My Ghastly has Sucker Punch, and my Dratini has Extreme Speed. So, any way you slice it, I'm going to be able to take out this guy, and I just consider what to do, and I decide I'm going to go ahead and send out my Cyndaquil. So now, I go ahead and go for the Hidden Power Grass. This is kind of strange. Not sure why I did this, but, you know, he was down to 1 or 2 HP, so I was pretty sure I'd get the KO here. I didn't want... he obviously wasn't going to switch because the rocks were up, but he has a one Pokemon left on his team that actually resists the Hidden Power Grass, so I'm really glad that he didn't send it out. He must have not realized it was Hidden Power Grass, but it's kind of awesome that he sent out his Chinchou, except for the fact that his Chinchou survives my HP Grass. I'm like, oh no! Because it's an Agility Piplup. It's an Agility running Piplup, and so now it's going to outspeed my entire team, and here's something I wasn't expecting. He goes for the Endure. I'm like, what? Endure? I mean, I already got you down pretty low, but then I realized I probably didn't get him down to below 25%. And so he was going for... He's got the Pataya Berry. So this is an Agility Pataya Piplup. And I'm like, oh no, this guy's going to massacre me. He's really lucky that his Hydro Pump didn't miss there, but it doesn't, and it's going to way overkill my poor little Cyndaquil. I mean, what? That's Stab, super effective, Pataya boosted, and Torrent boosted, so I'm like, oh god! So I decide I'm going to send out my my Brookside, my Dratini. I'm just going to go for the Extreme Speed, but then I have a sickening thought. What if he runs Aqua Jet as his 4th move? And I'm like, oh no! Because that's going to be boosted by Torrent as well, and I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen here? So he goes for the Endure here, which really indicates to me that he probably doesn't run the Aqua Jet. And I'm going to go ahead and go for the Extreme Speed. It gets a useless crit. That's the most hilarious thing in the world. He's got 1 HP, he endures, and I get a crit on the Extreme Speed, so that's just hilarious. But anyway, he doesn't run the Aqua Jet, which I'm like, oh, thank you, God. And I do manage to take out his Piplup, which I was just really fearing there. It's a really good thing that I saved my Dratini for late in the game. Anyway, his last Pokemon is Torchic, which I'm like, okay, well, I've got this game in the bag, gonna go for the Waterfall, and that's gonna be a good game. His Torchic is faster and goes for the Bounce, and I'm like, Bounce? Huh. But that kind of screws me over because he's bounced up in the air, and I'm like, I wonder how well I'm gonna take that bounce. Turns out I never find out because his bounce misses. That's the saddest thing in the world. So anyway, I go for the Waterfall, and that is good game. So anyway, if you like this battle, you should check out my channel. I also do Gen 5 battles, actually predominantly now, but I've got a few more PBR battles to upload if you like PBR battles. So check out my channel, comment, rate, and subscribe. So long, folks.